So essentially, Fareed Zakaria is lying on behalf of Trump and doing propaganda for him in Gaza. Then turns around and he's like, by the way, he's getting cooked by Xi Jinping on the world stage. Sarah, you have any reaction before I move on?
They have the same policy that the both sides have the same policy when it comes to Israel. It's just pretty. It's pretty incredible.
Yep. And you got to see the liberal class. They are upset at Trump, not for escalating tensions with China. They are upset because they are openly admitting that Xi Jinping is completely checkmating him every step of the way.
Relations.
So why is the quote-unquote Trump opposition, this is one of my main stories, I had this in the title, why is the Trump opposition doing propaganda on his behalf? Because if you watch the CNN, MSNBC, if you read the New York Times, Washington Post, they all going along with the MAGA talking point, Sarah. Trump broke a peace in Gaza. We're going to ignore the troops on the ground in Gaza. We're going to ignore all the Palestinians that was murdered afterwards. We have every single person who's supposed to be in the Trump opposition, the Trump oppositional media that's going along with Trump administration talking points, which shows that there's no real opposition party. You had Democrats like, we gotta give Trump credit on the ceasefire, man. No, you don't. There is no ceasefire. And Fareed Zakaria, it does it in one of the most malicious ways. You guys know Fareed. He's one of my favorite propagandists to cover. He's like on the Atlantic Council, Neocon of the highest order. The last segment we did, he's one of my favorite people to cover. He's the guy that they trust the most. Like, there's certain people they say don't talk about foreign policy. Joanne Reed, shut the fuck up. You're too dumb. Don't talk about foreign policy. Fareed Zakaria is the guy. The last segment I'll show you guys is where he was decrying how India is leaning more towards BRICS and leaning against the West, even though he, as an Indian sellout capitalist, has been advocating for India to lean more towards the West. It was a glorious segment. Not the tears from that segment about him crying. Capitalist. Where'd that sound coming from? I don't know. I heard an echo. But he was pretty much decrying India falling into the hands of Xi Jinping. So you want to know what this video is about? This video is for Fareed Zakaria praising Trump for his Gaza peace plan while decrying his plan against China because Fareed Zakaria is having a meltdown that Xi Jinping is making a fool out of Donald Trump. So this is a 2-for-1 special here. Fareed Zakaria, trust me, he's a hilarious propagandist to cover because he's one of the best mouthpieces for the empire. And it's so obvious what he's doing here.
Here's my take. Last week's ceasefire in Gaza was an undisputed success for President Trump and his...
What are you talking about? Why is CNN doing propaganda for Trump, Sarah? Here it is.
Here's my take. Last week's ceasefire in Gaza was an undisputed success for President Trump and his style of foreign policy. He and his team engaged in intense personal diplomacy, persuading Israel to hold its fire and coaxing the Qataris, Egyptians, and Turks to lean on Hamas. For a president who relishes deals and drama, the grand signing ceremony in Egypt was a natural stage. But as the Middle East quieted, another much more important theater grew more discordant, that involving U.S.-China relations. In this arena, Trump has lurched from threat to retreat to confusion. First, he threatened new...
So essentially, Fareed Zakaria is lying on behalf of Trump and doing propaganda for him in Gaza. Then turns around and he's like, by the way, he's getting cooked by Xi Jinping on the world stage. Sarah, you have any reaction before I move on?
They have the same policy that the both sides have the same policy when it comes to Israel. It's just pretty. It's pretty incredible.
Yep. And you got to see the liberal class. They are upset at Trump, not for escalating tensions with China. They are upset because they are openly admitting that Xi Jinping is completely checkmating him every step of the way.
Relations.
I don't want to cover too much of this. I want to show you guys just a little bit.
From threat to retreat to confusion. First, he threatened new 100% tariffs and warned that he would cancel a planned meeting with Xi Jinping. Then, as Beijing refused to blink, Trump quickly softened, posting a conciliatory message on social media about wanting to help China, not hurt it. Aides reversed course, saying the Trump-Xi summit would take place after all. The pattern, loud threats, quick backdowns, and ensuing uncertainty has become familiar. The problem is that Trump's diplomatic playbook, effective in the Middle East, fits poorly in the longer, larger struggle with China.
I might cover this more in detail, but you guys notice how free Zakaria, the smartest neocons on TV. I think he's one of the best propagandists on TV. That's why they trust him with the empire. He talks about subjects they will never allow the ordinary talking head to do because he's part of the Atlantic Council or some Council of Foreign Relations. He's on some sort of fucking board that is a think tank for the empire. But even they are saying, man, Donald Trump is getting outwitted and outmatched by China every step of the way. But that's a story for another day. I just thought that was interesting. The last thing I was sharing, and we're gonna get to the Ukraine story. We're gonna get to that'd be our last story, Sarah. We cover the Ukraine terrorist attacks on Hungary.
I just don't understand why no one's talking about the fact that Israel and Hamas didn't sign the peace treaty, first and foremost. And second of all, the Arab countries that did sign it and Turkey are being banned from entering the country or entering Palestine. So I don't know why nobody's like reporting on that. There's no follow-up to any of this. Like Vance visiting Israel isn't really a follow-up. There's nothing in place. There's nothing there. It's exactly the way that it was before the day they signed the ceasefire. There's nothing different about it. Is that I think the Israelis may have retreated a little bit, but they and today I don't know if you saw it, but it came out not too long ago, a few hours. Jared and Steve Witkoff have floated their plan, which effectively splits the Strip in half, giving 53% to the IDF, which was the plan all along. It was to make, and the Arab states knew it, but they signed it anyway. They knew it. They said before that one of their hangups was that they were afraid that this would lead to permanent occupation or at least lengthy occupation. Well, then you knew it was going to lead to this. So
very well said, Sarah. And it's like, I know the corporate media is bad. Like we know this, but I'm still shocked, man. I don't know. Like I'm still shocked at how brazen they are. Especially knowing that they have competition now. Like they have independent media they got to compete with. They have this new Cold War where they're trying to win over global recognition over China, but they're still doing such shameless propaganda. Here's Dana Bash, one of the most shameless Zionist propaganda. She's a Jewish supremacist. Dana Bash is a Jewish supremacist that has allowed a TV show. Like she lied about mass rapes on October 7th. She smeared Palestinians as a barbaric pro-rape society. Like she's one of the most crazy people on media. Like she's easily up there with like people like Jesse Waters to me. You guys know I don't even cover Jesse Waters. I don't even get anything out of him. That's where Dana Bash is to me. He is so shameless in her propaganda in support of Israel. And despite Israel openly violating the ceasefire, she ran a segment where she would decline people who was advocating for a ceasefire, saying, "Why aren't you thankful? Why aren't you thanking Israel and the Netanyahu government?" Like you cannot. This is the last part of the segment, but
the war in Gaza.
And then this is someone who she views herself as an enemy of Trump. People in the liberal class view Dana Bash as an icon of resistance, but here she is doing propaganda on behalf of the Trump administration. This is a short clip, and when we get to our next story.
The war in Gaza divided Americans. That's especially on display in Hollywood, where some celebrities have used their voices not just to call for a ceasefire, but a boycott of Israeli films. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, CNN's parent company, is now the second major studio to openly reject that because it violates anti-discrimination policies. And as CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister reports, many prominent celebrities who were vocal about a ceasefire are accused of being silent now that there is actually a ceasefire with.
They're being accused of being silent now that there's a ceasefire. Who's accusing them? Based on what I've seen, the majority of Americans who disapprove of Israel I see the majority of celebrity worshiping Americans waste their time, in my opinion, begging for their favorite celebrity to speak out in support of Palestine, which I think is a waste of time. I think that's a sincere waste of time. We need to be organizing based on class, not begging celebrities to tweet about our favorite issues. But Dana Bash makes it all about, man, these celebrities are taking pressure for advocating for a ceasefire. Doesn't that reveal who you hang around? Because I bet in Dana Bash's algorithm, she sees nothing but genocidal Zionists because that's who she associates with. All right, I want to make this part fast. I'll continue, but you guys see the disgusting propaganda coming from CNN. When I just showed you guys, me and Sarah, we just exposed how this ceasefire is completely fake. But here is the Trump opposition pretending that he accomplished peace in Gaza.
Have used their voices not just to call for a ceasefire, but a boycott of Israeli films. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery, CNN's parent company, is now the second major studio to openly reject that because it violates anti-discrimination policies.
Right.
And as CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister reports, many prominent celebrities who were vocal about a ceasefire are accused of being silent now that there is actually a ceasefire with Israel, since Hamas released Israeli hostages.
I only show this follow report here that they do here. But look, you see, celebrity, look, this is the tagline, Sarah. This is probably one of the craziest propaganda segments I've seen this year. In a sane society, Dana Bash would never be allowed to be a journalist again after this segment. Look at the headline here. Celebrities who condemn Israel for war criticized after ceasefire. Jesus Christ, man. Mainstream corporate media is completely and utterly cooked.